Welcome to Second Breakfast, Occam's Razor, Second Breakfast. So before we get started into the show, I always like to do a little set me up for the day. How I start my day is I always thank my higher power. I always thank my higher power for my health and for my wealth. And not my financial wealth, my spiritual wealth. And then I pray for others. I pray for those that I love, and I pray for those that I don't. And I ask for help. I ask for help to learn how to love those that I don't, so that I can better accept them in my life. I ask for help to get through the day. And I ask for help to increase my spirituality so that I can deal with today, just today, so that I can be ready for tomorrow by just dealing with things today. And then, of course, I finish off the Lord's Prayer and a Serenity Prayer. And that sets me up for the day. I don't know what sets you up for the day, but I hope you are having a wonderful day. And let's get straight into the intro and then right into second breakfast. We have, yes, there we go. We'll be right back after the intro. There we go. Sound is on. Hey, welcome to Second Breakfast, a stream of consciousness that fills part of the gap between the no answer period and Blazing Catford Fridays, where we stream at 9 o'clock Friday mornings as opposed to Second Breakfast, where we do a cold read through of the best news aggregate in the GTA that's been around for 20 years. Yes, please visit Blazing Catford website. Uh, it's not my site, it's my friend's site, and he hosts me every Friday. That's outstanding. We are streaming on three platforms, Rumble, X, and YouTube. So please give us a like, thumbs up, follow, share, and subscribe. Most of all, the chat is up across all three platforms. So please feel free to ask anything. Comments drive the algorithm. When I'm not driving it down with my forbidden words, this veteran appreciates your support. Please visit my channels. Here's one of my channels sitting right there. And I hope you're having a wonderful morning and ready to face today with the love of your fellow man. So today's second breakfast will be a review of a recent, let's say, a recent video on Dial the Gate. Hmm. Now, I've done a few Saturday sci-fi shows. I've plan to do more. I just need an external drive to get into the next program that I wanted to make. So I make these whenever I want. But the first episode that I had made was on Stargate. And I'm just going to play a little bit of near the end of that actual episode, which will set up this interview with Christopher Judge, an actor on Stargate.
But his interpretation here and how he ended up approaching Stargate is not very much different than my own. So let's listen to what he says.
Stargate hold up? I was wondering this as they announced a new Stargate series this week, and they're bringing back a lot of the original SG1 writers, which made me very, very excited. I was a huge SG1 fan when it was on the air. I actually came in about season 5, season 6, because I've always been a Trekkie, is kind of like my main thing. And I heard it was very much in the ethos of the Next Generation in the way that it was conducted. A little more humorous, a little more military-esque, and of course they don't have that whole stupid Prime Directive thing, which, kind of makes it superior to Star Trek in a lot of ways. But I was hesitant because I was like, okay, they made a Stargate movie. I liked that movie. I was actually 11 years old when it came out. And and I watched it, I think, right as it came to home video, because I think my parents watched it, and it scared the bejesus out of me when I was 11 years old. I was like having nightmares about it because of like I'm worried these like ancient Egyptians are going to come like invade me, or I don't know what I was thinking. I was 11, but when I saw that Stargate SG1 had a whatchamacallit, was on the air, I was kind of like, why would I want to watch a thing where the two principal characters of a movie were replaced by different actors? Like, that doesn't feel good, and how are they even going to... I mean, the movie was pretty open and shut and done. Like, what's the point? So I didn't watch it until, I think, season 4, 5, or 6, somewhere in there. And I got in, and I caught up with that Netflix DVDs at the time. You remember the Netflix DVDs? And I caught up really quickly and was just hooked. And I watched it from that point forward, on the air, and absolutely loved it. And I was pretty happy. I was a big Farscape fan at the time too, so I was even happy in seasons 9 and 10 when Ben Browder and Claudia Black actually came in.
Yeah, so very similarly, I remember seeing Stargate SG-1 um, on the video rack at the video store because they had put it straight to video after they had broadcast it, obviously to bring in more audience. And I remember seeing it and going, "Oh, look, somebody went and redid the SG-1 movie into a series. Oh, look, they got that guy Richard Dean Anderson on it." Of course, I wasn't really a Richard Dean Anderson fan at the time. I didn't care to watch the other show that he was on, and of course, always being a sci-fi nerd and a sci-fi nut, you're really occupying your time, kind of record and watch other sci-fi back then that you could record on your VCR because we didn't have any digital recording, we didn't have any streaming, and like John mentioned there, catching up on a series by doing mail order Netflix DVDs was the way to go. And in the very same sense, because I'd seen that video and I seen the cover, and I was like, oh yeah, they just redid a movie kind of thing. And it wasn't until I think into season 2 or maybe the beginning of season 3 that I actually did start watching a few episodes, and then I realized, hey, you know what? This isn't bad. Oh, the script writing is kind of interesting. And then the more I started watching, I goes, you know what? They're actually making an effort to make this their own series and continuing on with the characters. I was impressed. And it quickly became the replacement for what I had enjoyed and what I had felt when it came to Star Trek, the original series. Remember, so I was one of those people when Star Trek Next Generation came out. I was part of that generation that said, "Oh, it'll never be as good as the original series," and we were making that comparison. And of course, over time, well, then we were so happy we had any kind of sci-fi, even if it was Next Generation and it's in its current little bit of a pablum style. But they still explored some stories. But again, it was that comfort. The comfort, just not the complete comfort, because it wasn't the same characters as the original series. But when it came to Stargate, they did something completely different, and then they continued the same story. And then it didn't matter what characters they brought in because they took the same care in the storyline. You became emotionally invested in those new characters, even though they might only be there for a couple of episodes or they come back into the episodes. Feel good story all the time. Let's go back to John.
To the show because I was like, wow, it's like a Farscape reunion. This is cool. So it, it didn't have creative complications. It was a very straightforward movie. I liked Daniel Jackson. I liked O'Neill, and that's what mattered, right? And I wanted the bad guys to lose. And I looked at it and I'm like, this is beautiful in its simplicity, actually. And the effects were pretty good. This is 1994, so as I look at it now, they like the CGI is not what it is with modern stuff, of course, but CGI is over rendered now. These battles that they do now don't look like they could really happen whatsoever. It's a disaster. And at the same time, they grow to respect each other because they're like, O'Neill's a very competent military man, and Jackson is a very competent scientist and archaeologist, right? And so, and because of the competence, like it's refreshing just to watch those two characters do that, and not have a strong female black lesbian lead in a wheelchair come lecture them and be better than them at everything like every modern sci-fi has.
Right, and that's the one thing right there is what has happened to a lot of the entertainment throughout the Western world right now is that it's been hijacked by cultural Marxism, just like he says right here, and have a strong female black lesbian lead in a wheelchair come lecture them and be better than them in everything. Because it's no longer about the journey. It's no longer about brotherhood getting together and moving forward through strife. It always has to be a lesson now, right? It always has to be a lesson in cultural Marxism. Why? To explain to you why there's an oppressor and why there's a victim, and why, most of all, if you're the wrong skin color or the wrong ideology, then you are bad and need to change somehow. That seems to be the messaging that is in all mainstream uh, consumption right now, and of course that's why it's dying. That's why Hollywood is dying. That's why nobody's watching TV. That's why TV shows can't do a complete season anymore of 13 episodes and do 26 episodes in 1 year. They can barely scrape together 8 episodes because their writers are crap, and they've gotten rid of all the real writers. In fact, there's tons of outstanding writers out there. Not everyone can write a script, but good writers can write a good story. Script writers can take that story and then put it on the script without putting in their cultural Marxist messaging. So that kind of sets us up to where we are with Christopher Judge, who played an iconic character throughout Stargate, and well, he's a really nice fella, and you really enjoy this message. If you're familiar with the franchise, you'll really enjoy this. If not, you still will because he's a nice guy.
Next week with episode 2, where we will be
Nostalgia.
covering a few
I
other
don't
things sci-fi,
want
along with the
the
main topic of how
need or the desire to have tilt back be an impediment to the show because I want it to fly on its own. I think it'll be great for everyone if whoever it is or whoever the ends up appearing in whatever capacity, it'll be a great little kick and all that. But Teal'c was such a specific. He had such a specific journey that I really wanted to make sense and not just be, hey, there's a blast from the past. You know what I mean? So, but I'm definitely open to whatever they come up with, and one way or the other. I mean, I'll be watching. So, I mean, for me, that's almost enough to be able to. To me, the team was great, and I love the memories that I have of it and the fun we had. But to me, the star was always the Stargate and where it could take you. So I think as long as that, and I have no doubt of this, that the true star, the Stargate, is handled with loving care. I think it really can't go wrong, especially with those three at the helm.
An IQ of 85 to 115
Sorry
is
about
considered
that.
average in the US. And
Skip that. Okay,
What
back
do
to the
you
show.
think of the announcement? A fourth one, SG4, is finally coming. How did you find out?
Um, I got a call from from Martin. No, first I got a email, I believe it was, and I didn't know, but he had been trying to reach me on Facebook. And as you guys know, I don't go on Facebook. I just the social media stuff is just beyond me.
Yeah.
So he got my email from, excuse me, he got my number from Jules. And so,
Jewel State. Yeah.
yes. And so he texted me. Why is Garrow texting me? And so read his text. So he was letting me know that the deal had been made, and I was just so over the moon, and just the fact that Brad, Joe, and Garrow are on it. It's I've known Garrow was a baby writer with us, and one of the things I'm most proud of with Stargate is how everyone has really gone on and done other things, and then we still come back home. You know what I mean? And so Garo and I then met for lunch, and it was wonderful. Like, he has not changed a bit. The love that he has for Stargate and respect um, is it's not only heartening and encouraging. It just makes you feel like it's in such safe hands, you know. And I can't wait to see what the three of them do. And he painted a very, 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 very broad picture for me.
Oh, so he gave you an idea, like a rough idea. Okay.
Very rough. And in fact, this was before the writer's room started. So I don't even know if that's still the same thing or not, but just kind of some of the ideas he had on which ways to go and things like that. So it was great.
How does it? So, okay. So since you opened that door, so
Uh-oh.
in terms, no. I'm going to be good with you here. Brad said
Hmm?
that it feels like Stargate, and Garrow said that it's a totally new thing. So fans online are going back and forth and like, okay, so is it going to be Stargate? Is it not going? What is your impression of the texture of the brushes and the paint that he's painting with in terms of how this is going to feel in terms of a fourth Stargate?
I'm in agreement with both of them. From the little that I gleaned from it, it's
Mhm.
going to feel like Stargate. It will have different colors to it,
Mhm.
but it will feel like Stargate. It will have the sense of humor, the sense of exploration, the sense of
Okay.
hope. It's not going to be this post-apocalyptic thing. It's going to be, in my humble opinion, which I don't know what that means. I like many others my age, cut my teeth on Star Trek, and it was it made you think, but it also gave you hope for the future. It was about exploration, but also about learning things about other peoples that maybe gave you insight into yourself and expanded your own horizons. And this and for please correct me if I'm overstating, for a lot of people, me included, that's what Stargate was. It made you optimistic about the future. It put a smile on your face. You watched episodes and felt good afterwards. Um, some of the, and don't get me wrong, some of the sci-fi right now it's great, but it's so dark, and the world's a dark place right now. Um, Hope is fighting, but I want to watch something, and we've talked about this, that basically I think that science fiction is the inverse of what's going on in society. When society is struggling and we need to escape it. And I think that's what's kind of missing in sci-fi right now: a sense of humor, a smile, a wink, and hope. And I'm very confident that SG4, Stargate 4 will definitely have that, especially with those three components in place, being Martin, Brad, and Joe.
Yeah, yeah, people have been coming to me and asking me for my opinion on this, and Martin's only 6 years older than I am, and we basically I grew up as a reporter on this show, and he grew up as a as a writer on it.
Yeah, he was the baby writer. Yeah.
Firsts for both of us, and when I try to say to folks that he's gonna take care of this franchise, I'm not I'm trying to communicate it in such a way that it's not to indicate that uh, like any kind of favor toward him or anything else, but I
Mhm.
know that he loves the show. And
Yes.
if there's anyone who has a shot at this, 'cause we're at that cusp of, I think I've said this before in a couple of, we're at like pre-launch for The Force Awakens for the new Star Wars rebirth.
Hmm.
They have
Hmm.
one shot to nail this, to really
Hmm.
nail this thing for everyone. And
Yes.
then, people are going to make their decision. And that's like the phase that we're in right now. We've just found out that Lucas has signed this thing over and they're going to start working on it. And that's where we are for Stargate fans. And the other thing that I
Hmm.
think that you mentioned that's really awesome is that where Star Trek was always aspirational, looking at people who are in a future space. What's great about Stargate now is that the people that we're watching who are doing things to get through a rough situation or show that they can be the people that they need to be in the moment are from our time.
Right.
And I
Right.
can be that person. I don't have to come from an idealized society. I can pull that off now if I just
Right.
believe in myself and the people that I'm working with, or
Hmm.
cultivate a group of people that can help me pull off whatever I need to pull off.
Exactly. Exactly right. And that's really interesting. We are those people now. Back then, we were looking ahead. We've now grown into those people. You know, so it's really interesting. It's exciting. It's hopeful, and I really think it's a chance to, it's strange. I'm doing conventions again, and to now see three generations of Stargate fans. When we started doing these conventions 20 some odd years ago, um, there were parents.
That really is it, isn't it? That's the message of hope right there. Knowing that if you can cultivate a community of like-minded individuals or find a community of like-minded individuals to perpetuate your journey, your adventure of hope, knowing that things can and will get better if you find people to be with who share the same values and the same ideas. In today's society, especially in Canada, it's very easy to fall into a pit of despair, having faced 10 years of divisive politics by our federal government, constantly dividing people into this or that, vaxxed, anti-vaxxed, and then deciding who gets to be a first-class citizen, who gets to be a second-class citizen. We know that our politicians are not really answering our call for answers. Even the politicians who are supposed to be asking questions, we feel are not asking the right questions. It can become very overwhelming. And that's why I always say try to take it one day at a time. Take small bites if you have to get through the day or parts of the day. But know that you're not alone. There are other people who think just like you. Believe it or not, but they're out there. And like Christopher says here, often people will find some comfort in something to just escape from the darkness of the day. And for some people, it's watching an episode, their favorite episode of their favorite show. In this case here, we're talking about Stargate. So thanks all of you for geeking out with me. And each story is carefully crafted, and each story has eventually a movement towards all these friends on a journey, always never giving up hope, never giving up on each other, and always ready to face the day, finishing off the day and getting ready. They know that they'll have another day to face afterwards, but they won't have to do it alone. That really is the message of hope. If you're feeling alone, reach out, find somebody else out there who's like-minded, who has the same values, who enjoys the same things that you do. And when it comes to politics, well, there's plenty of people out there, plenty of political organizations, and not so many political events in public, especially in the wintertime, but they're out there as well. Well, thank you all if you've joined me this morning for this different second breakfast episode for a message of hope. I just wanted to cue this up because I got to be out today. I got to go. Look, it's snowing, only a couple of centimeters today, but I have to make a trip out of town and be back in time for the afternoon show. And we'll see you there, or we'll see you tomorrow, or you might never see me again. But either way, thanks for coming out, and we will just go straight into our outro. Make sure we got that right. See you tomorrow morning. Thanks. Bye.